everybody. Welcome to Change the Shed. It's September 3, 2025. Glad you're here. Had about a month away from live Change the Shed, so I'm happy to be back. We're going to spend the fall working on some stuff in the studio, as usual. I'm glad you're here. I hope y'all are doing well. I realize that I am not seeing your comments, so hold on while I find that panel. There we go. Good morning, everyone. You all are all over the place. Margareta in Spain, and Sally's in Wisconsin, and Barbara's in San Diego, and Paula's in Vermont. Anne is working on the second exercise from the rug class, planning your next project. That's cool. One of the things I did in August was finish and launch a class about weaving rugs, tapestry rugs, rug weight yarn. The projects are tabletop textiles, but if you're interested in that, you can get the class on my website, or if you want to get it with the yarn, you can get it from Gist Yarn, and they sell this beautiful yarn called Dwella. It's a really fun class. I think we were talking about this yesterday. I did a Tapestry Discovery Box Q&A, and we were talking about how fun it is to weave something that goes quickly. So that is a lovely thing about rug yarn. Also, it's a functional textile, and that is also nice to weave something that's pretty that you can put on your table. So good morning, everybody else. Jessica's here from Illinois. Brenda from Pennsylvania, Marina from Tampa, Florida, Nancy from Conifer. Laura is here from Harvard, looking into wedge weave. That's awesome. That'll be good for your castle, Laura. Mary from Seattle. Heather is here from Indiana. Sybil from Switzerland, where Autumn is here. I was noticing yesterday that the tree that I look out my office window, where my desk is, it's been green all summer, and now the leaves are turning red. And it means that the snow will be flying long before we want it to. Corinne's here from the UK, Verily from Belgium. Barb is here from California, where it's been a lovely summer. That's good to hear. Mary's here from Annapolis. Welcome, everybody. So happy that you have clicked in. And let's see if I can fix my little screen here. All right, so you all are the stalwart few who have paid attention to when I was coming back. I appreciate that. I didn't mention it on social media until like 2 hours ago, so hopefully people will maybe watch the recording if they're interested. So the rug class I mentioned, if you're interested in taking that class about rug weight weaving, the Dwella yarn from Gist is really beautiful. It's I like it a lot, and it was a fun class to make. So like I said, it's fun to use tapestry techniques to make something that is a useful textile. Patreon, thank you so much to all of you who support me on Patreon. It makes a big difference. This is possible because of the people who are there, who are supporting Change the Shed, and also my own work. So I have been showing folks there what I've been working on. I've been doing some stuff in the dye studio, and there'll be another video coming up end of this week probably about what I'm doing. The big loom over here is not yet underway, but I am hoping that the yarn I'm dyeing now will be the right answer. So Susan's here from Massachusetts. John is here from Fortnite. Hey, John. Marla is here. Been waiting with bated breath. Marla's waiting to see All the things, yes. Anyway, thank you all again. My patrons, you are awesome. Thank you so much. You know who you are, and you make it all possible for me to have a little bit more breathing space to work on some of my own work and to keep doing Change the Shed. So you're awesome. If you want to learn tapestry, if you're new to tapestry weaving, I have some intro classes which are really fun. There's an introduction to tapestry weaving class that's inexpensive and will get you started. And otherwise, I have a class called Little Looms, which is for people who just are interested in doing messing around on small looms. It goes into various ways to do that. And a good companion class to that is Summer of Tapestry. And Warp and Weft is that's my big intro class. If you want to learn all the techniques, jump into Warp and Weft. It's a great reference too. I also wrote a book, which I don't have here, but if you didn't know that, it might be a good thing for your shelf. All right, for some reason, I'm still drinking my tea today. This is my Loopy U mug. Those of you from Colorado know the Loopy U. They got sold a few years ago, and then I left Fort Collins, but I think the Loopy U might still be around. So if you're in Colorado, go visit them. Always was one of my favorite yarn stores. All right, everybody, I'm so glad you're here. Let's do some weaving. Hopefully you all are weaving on something. This is the It's Fine Tapestry. Actually, for those of you who might be new here, this is what we're doing. It is weaving it sideways, so I am, you can't see my cursor in this program, but I am about halfway through right now. You'll see I'm working on these mountains, which are right in the middle at the top of this cartoon, but I'm weaving it sideways, so you'll see them on the right side. And soon, hopefully, maybe even next time, but sometime soon, we're going to start that dumpster, which is going to be, I'm looking forward to weaving the fire, so that will be, I think it will be a fun thing to weave the little dumpster project. All right, so here we are. Here's the mountain I was talking about. It has a 16 EPI section to it, and all of this is 8 EPI. Here's a little more light maybe. And today I'm working on, I just dropped out this rust color. This is ground. Here's the edge of the foot you can see. And these are a simplification of burned trees. If you live in the West, you've driven through those forests where all you see is the standing snags that have been burned. And this green on the side of the hill will be an experiment. We'll see. So this is a double set piece. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm working at 8 ends per inch here, and this is a part at 16 ends per inch. I don't know, Jessica. I don't know who Poppy is actually. Is that the new owner of Loopy U? Thanks, Laura. I assume you're talking about my book, Best Book Ever. I don't know if it's the best book ever, but it's a good book for tapestry weaving. This is the Shacked Heiress, or a Ross, or something else if you actually speak French, loom, and I really like it. Really like the treadle, actually, is I've been using it now. You guys have seen me do it on this program, and I have not changed my mind. I really have enjoyed using it. Thanks, Margareta. She says I always go back to your book. Every single weave I make. Oh, that's really sweet. It makes me feel good it's a lot of work to write a book, so. It's actually part Jane Patrick's fault that I wrote that book. I blame Jane Patrick and Jillian Moreno mostly for getting me into writing that book. But they both suggested that I write a book with story, and they hooked me up with their editors from Story. Jane Patrick is one of the owners of Shacked, actually. Now it's owned by Louette, but it will still be called Shacked, I think. So Jane Patrick has been in the weaving space. And I thought of that because the Eris loom is made by Shacked. So there's comes full circle there. Y'all can't quite follow my brain, maybe. Okay, we're getting close to the end of this little, I'm gonna just fill in a little bit here. So the reason I'm working on this section right now is because this little green part comes over the top of this section. So I have to fill this in a little bit before I can keep weaving the 16 EPI, which we'll do in just a second, I think. All right, looks like I can do one more row with those. All right. You guys are cracking me up. Thanks for making me laugh, everybody in the comments. All right, let's see. I have to extrapolate this a little bit because of the split in the warps here. But I'm gonna split that one. And weave on top here to about there. One of the things sort of sagging a little bit here in the middle, and I'm just thinking about why that is. And I want to look at my warp spacing to start with, and you can see it's a little bit wider there, so that's probably the reason. Also, this black I'm using, I wanted the line to be thinner, so it's only 2 strands instead of 3 of this yarn. It's not much wider. So it may partly be just because I'm using a thinner weft there, which means I will do something right now that will help maybe. I'm gonna put this in between the sequences of the other colors without matching those. I'm also going to splice this out a second, and we'll get a new piece on the next one. Thinking like a tapestry weaver. Okay, so I basically put that in between the other two, and I'm just going to weave. Instead of meeting this and coming back, I'm just going to weave sorry, I was trying to decide about that. I'm going to weave right over the top. That'll put a little extra weft in there because it seems to be sagging just a tiny bit. Pretty subtle, but it's the kind of thing if you watch out for, you can avoid some trouble. Bad trouble, not good trouble. We need to find our good trouble. Yeah, Jessica's saying that it might be the Loopy U is going out of business, which makes me sad. There are a lot of good yarn shops on the Front Range of Colorado. If you're in Colorado, in Denver or the like, there are still yarn shops. Okay, so here, let's put in another. This is the color I'm using for these trees. It's actually a violet. I've also labeled what I'm using the colors for. That actually says burn trees. It's blurry in your view, but Sybil, that's a great question. Sybil asked if the rug weaving class is only through Gist. No. So those of you who don't live in the US and are getting yarn from the US is getting harder and harder. Just the customs and all the things, for all the various reasons, you can buy just the class and then source the yarn from wherever you want. So you can buy just the class on my in Pathright, which is my online course platform, or you can you'll find links under the rug weaving page on my website under online learning. So yes, Sybil, you can buy just the class. You do not have to buy the yarn. You can get that somewhere else. Gist also sells just the class, so if you want to get it from them, if you're buying something from them anyway, or you want different colors of the yarn, or actually for this class, they will allow you to switch out the colors of yarn as well. So if you want the kit, but you want different colors, you can make up your own palette. Or you already have rug yarn in your stash. Some of you, I hear you. You can use whatever you have. Thanks for asking, Sybil. Paula. Yeah, great question, Paula. Let's talk about that. When you're weaving with a split warp, do you have to do anything special to make the transition from 16 to 8 EPI or back in the same section of weaving? So right here, let me get this out of the way a second, and then we'll look at that. Whoops. So what Paula's asking is, okay, right here, where here I have 16 ends per inch, and here I have 8. See if I can get that a little bit closer. And then maybe I can keep it from, sorry to fuss with the camera. So there's an interface here between where the 16 meets the 8. My solution to that, various people have different solutions for that, but there is always a shedding problem there. There is no way around that. And so I solved that by using, in this piece anyway, I'm using a really fluffy yarn for the 8 ends per inch. This is Harrisville Kohler Singles. And the fluffiness of that yarn covers up the warp lice, which undoubtedly are there. I mean, if we were using the same set and I did this, there would be issues with this because the shedding is wrong. But the fluffy yarn on this side too, you can see, just covers any little blips that you might see where the warps are split. See if I can. If I do this, I probably will get my head in the way, but ooh, apparently I did not. Oh, hold on, you all. Autofocus. Okay. Let's see if you can see that. So here here's a spot where this warp, I actually split it with, I went around just one with the with the fatter yarn, and so that will actually help hide. Normally, you wouldn't do that. You would use the ADPI under two warp to make it ADPI. You'll have to use 2 warps. So hopefully that makes a little sense. But by splitting it, this fluffy piece is sort of covering the sins of using, having a shedding error all the way along. Okay, that one I split that warp, but I'm gonna keep going here. This is 2 strands. The thin yarn at 16 EPI is 2 strands of Weaver's Bazaar. Fine. And it's just on the edge of being too thick. It's working okay, but I just have to make sure to really get enough bubble in there. Okay. Jessica says if you're in Colorado, I think Centennial, she's saying there's one in Centennial, which is part of, in my mind, it's just Denver. If you live near Denver, you're just, I guess you learn to call the cities what they are, but Centennial's just in the southern part of Denver. Apparently there are some dangerously wonderful yarn stores there. I remember going to one, I don't remember the name of it. Welcome, Julie. I'm glad you're here. Just coming in from Germany. I missed a few others of you coming in, but thank you for stopping by. V is here, downsizing her looms for moving. Moving is the worst. I suppose there are worse things than moving, but I've been here almost 2 years now, and I still say I'm never moving again. Hope that's true. All right, so I'm building this little side of the mountain shape, which is weaving 16 EPI takes a lot longer than weaving ADPI, I will tell you that. People who weave at these fine sets all the time are heroes or something. Or they're just very something. I don't know. I guess it really isn't any different. It's just takes longer to cover the same area. All right. Here, just trying to keep track of here. I turned there, so let's fill in the sky color. Yeah, and that's the same. Anne is saying that the local yarn stores cater to knitters. That's absolutely the same here. I really loved Shuttle Spindles and Skeins in Boulder, which was run by Maggie Casey and Judy, I'm not going to remember her last name. But it started as a weaving store, and they had a lot of knitting stuff, but they had all the weaving and spinning stuff, and I loved it. And although they had weaving yarns, they did not have a lot of tapestry yarns. They did have a few that I used, but it was just so nice to have a store that was for weavers. And of course, everybody has to retire, so Maggie and Judy retired, but I sure was sad about that. Maggie, I miss you. Maggie's still around. She still teaches. She's amazing. If you want to learn, she was my spinning teacher. If you want to learn spinning, take a class from Maggie Casey. If you're a brand new beginner, she will get you going. Okay, I'm not super fond of that green, but I also know that I will like it a lot better once all of the form is woven. And so though I am tempted to change it, I'm not going to. Oh, this is, Margareta saying she loves this. This is a tapestry bobbin that has a metal tip. So look for metal tip tapestry bobbins. I know there's a guy in the UK, Andrew Dickinson, that does make tapestry bobbins, but I don't know that he makes any this small. So on my website, there's a reference for where I get these. That's from Melissa Allison Dewey, makes them. She does a fantastic job. She is in the United States. But someone else might know ones outside of the United States, so let us know if you do. You could also use, if you're not using it as a bobbin, like right now I'm just using it to pick, you could use a lot of other tools. Someone else will come up with the name of them, but there's other metal tipped tools or like an awl or something that would work just as well if you're not going to use it as a bobbin. So that might be a tip too, to look for a tool meant for something else. Oh, there, Sybil said, Weaver's Bazaar carries wonderful metal tipped ones. There you go. Well, in the UK, and I know you're in Spain, Margareta, but don't know what the shipping situation is between the UK and the rest of Europe, but hopefully better than getting stuff from the US right now. Okay, let's use, I'm going to open this shed. I'm going to splice in a new piece of this green. And I'm using, so you can tell so normally I would just use a shed stick like this to pick the shed. This is a fantastic shed stick. This one's by Stephen Willett. He's probably now currently my favorite shed stick maker. But this is so fine that the tapestry bobbin is working better for me. So what I want to do is open the next shed and splice in. So this is 2 different colors of Weaver's Bazaar. It is, let's see what colors they are. Not that it really matters. Nyanza and Savoy Green. This was kind of, I like the blue green, but I wanted a little of the yellow green. So anyway, I'm just mixing the 2. Jessica, I have not been in Fort Collins for a while, so I don't know which yarn stores are there now. At one point when I lived there, there were 4. I don't know that there were ever 5. But the Loopy U left, so I'm sure there are not that many anymore. The Lamb Spun is still there. If you're in Fort Collins, go visit Lamb Spun. Some of you have probably read those mystery novels that are set at Lamb Spun in Fort Collins. There's weaving and knitting. Oh, speaking of a store that has weaving stuff, like that's a yarn shop, Lamb Spun in Fort Collins. They do have weaving stuff. They don't really have tapestry stuff, but they do have weaving stuff. And they have weaving classes and such. Okay, so there I just spliced in a new piece of yarn. We can keep going with that. Great question, Mary. Curious about when to use 16 EPI for detail such as the boots, but why else? Yeah, so detail is part of why I'm doing it, also because it's really fun. It's also a texture change. So it's an interesting thing. If you look, I always think of Jennifer Sargent, who does this a lot. Mary Lane uses double set. I've seen Barbara Heller do it. There's a lot of tapestry artists who do use it. And a lot of times I think it's for texture more than detail. So yeah, I'm using it here because I'm going to weave a dumpster and I'm going to put text on it. And I needed more detail than I can get at 8 EPI at this size. But it's also, you can do it to change the surface and the texture and what the effect of the tapestry. It's a different effect. So there might be other reasons, but those are the ones I'm thinking of at the moment. At some point, I'll have to do a class about it, and I'll have to interview some of those people I just mentioned because I think they're fabulous. They're just fabulous people, but it's interesting to hear why other people choose a technique for their designs. So, okay. Okay, great question. Susan, yes, I'm back. Glad you're here from Pennsylvania. Yeah, Laura, I'm worried about that. She says handmade bobbins are getting harder to find in the... John Moss used to be the guy who made them all, and he is... I'm not sure... I don't want to start rumors about whether he's still alive or not, but he's quite elderly, and I know he stopped making bobbins, and he was the one. So we don't have a lot of other bobbin makers. Occasionally someone will pop up and make wooden ones, but Melissa's the only person I know who's making these tiny... I especially like the tiny ones because I use this a lot for weaving tiny things with hand spun. I don't use bobbins on my big pieces because I'm using a horizontal, a low warp loom. So sometimes I use Abusan bones. But you can get larger, like shacked cells, large tapestry bobbins that you would use for big vertical upright looms. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So that question about the interface there I've turned back. So can you guys see that? Maybe. So there I've got a free warp there, and I'm going to change the shed and snag that one on the way back here. Okay, great. So that's looking okay. This is a new cloud that's coming in here. So that'll be, let's see on this cartoon. Oh, you can't see that. There's another cloud up there. So that'll come in soon. And this sky will split around the cloud. And then this border will continue there. So that'll be fun. And then next time, I'll either have done enough that I'll be working on the dumpster, which would be fun. I'm going to put some text. I think I'm going to put text in there. I have to fuss with whether it'll fit. And then otherwise, if I don't quite get there, we'll be filling in the area that I'm pointing to that you can't see above the shoe. So to fill in up to the dumpster, which of course bottom to top with tapestry. You have to be patient until you get to the part that you want to weave. So this slit is getting kind of long, so I'm always weaving in like pieces to fill in everything so that I can keep the technical details under control. So right now I want to fill this up so I can stitch that slit so everything stays nice and stable. Stable is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, Mary, look at, go look up some of those, even if you just went to Jennifer Sargent's website and looked at her, like I know one of the ones I show in a lot of classes is, we're talking about 2 sets and texture, using 2 different sets to create texture. Jennifer Sargent, Sargent, is a United States tapestry weaver who's quite amazing, and she has some, if you look at her Shadow Warrior pieces, she does a lot of double set there, and you'll see what I mean about texture. Also, Barbara Heller, if you look at her, if you go to her website, barbaraheller.ca, she's in Canada, or if you just Google Barbara Heller tapestry, she did a big piece, which I won't be able to, it's modeled on Jacob's Ladder, the story of Jacob's Ladder in the Bible, I think. But it starts with a T. If you go to her I just looked at this. Those of you who are Jewish, maybe somebody can look it up and put it in the chat. It's a Jewish word that I don't know, but it's a great big piece. It's 8 feet tall. And she uses a double set. So the edges of the piece are, I don't know, 6 maybe EPI, and the rest of it is 12, something like that. It's an image of a ladder, and then there's a bunch of birds, dead birds. She does a lot of work about the environment. And then Mary Lane also has done some pieces where she uses the double set for texture. I can't think of any recent ones she's done, but I'm sure there are many other people who do that as well. I can put links to those actually in the show notes. So the show notes are now on Patreon, so you don't have to be a paying member to join my Patreon. You can join for free. Basically, the only thing that's free is the show notes, but if you want to see those links and stuff, please do jump in to the free version so you can get all the show notes and stuff. That would be awesome. I still put links on my website, but I'm not putting the show notes there anymore. I'm not sure whether I just do them for myself or if people actually look at those, but I'll put those links to the people we were just talking about. Okay, so you probably can't see around my hand. Oh, maybe you can. So this is a tiny bit longer than I actually would like in terms of sewing. It's the same way I've sewn my slits forever. I learned it from my teacher, James Kohler. I like it a lot. I teach it in my book in the Warp and Weft class. And probably almost every other class. I need to make a new slit sewing video though. Okay. Oh, look at that. I actually guessed right. The other cool thing about slits is it helps me count. So I'm counting sequences while I do this, and I actually guessed correctly because these are matching the number of sequences. So just lucky. There. So yeah, that slit's looking good. Sometimes really long slits like this are hard to get. They don't look very straight, but if you stitch them more often, you have a better chance of making that happen. All right, let's see. Let's just bring this back out of the way. And then we can fill in. So then we need to fill in, this is coming in on both sides, and so I need to fill that in so that this can go on top. Oh, thank you. Mary B found it. Barbara Heller, T-Z-I-M-T-Z-U-M. Tizitum? My deep apologies to those of you who are Jewish for my ignorance. It's a beautiful piece. So please go check it out. All right, let's see. I'm gonna split that because this is gonna come over. So this is also an instance where my dots are not quite, because the dots are sort of put on at the 8 EPI level, but this is 16, so I have to sort of fudge those a little bit. I like drawing my cartoon right on the warp. A lot of people do not do that, so if you're my student, you've seen me do that, but not everybody does it. There, I've split that. Warp with even with the fatter yarn, and I'll fill that in with the green there. Let's see, I already have 2 hill threads there. So I'm gonna go over one, and no, I'm gonna put multiple valley threads for that next step. Making a curve, so this was where I ended this, so I may take this little, can you see that? Oh, barely. There's a pigtail there I may take out, but I think it might pack in, might be fine. Adjusting curves is a thing. I'm gonna do this one more time. All right, that's looking okay. Let's see. Let's zoom out. So here's the whole thing, and I'm gonna work this up to about where that fire starts, and then I'll need to fill all of this in before I can weave in the dumpster. So that'll be fun. The here is, oh, we're doing it this way. So this area, and this is the words that I need to fuss with and see if I can fit them in a way that I can weave them. This would be 16 EPI if I do the words. So I had words on this piece goes with the handbasket piece from 2020. And yeah, that one had words too. Yes, I agree. Laura said Andrew Dickinson in the U.S. Artisan Bobbins makes beautiful tipped bobbins. And yes, I do think Sybil said they're still sold by Weaver's Bazaar, or you can get them from Andrew. Laura says I can't recommend highly enough his adjustable frame stand if you make yourself a copper pipe loom. I second that heartily. Andrew Dickinson's frame stand is amazing. Actually, I really like his frames too. I have one of those. But if you're in the UK, you are used to a tapestry loom that has a wooden bar on the top and the bottom and then threaded rod on the side, and they just call it a tapestry frame. It works fantastically. We could all make them at home if we just had a drill press. What I tend to make is copper pipe looms, but as Laura says, any of those looms with the threaded rod, you can clamp with this thing Andrew makes, which goes on the edge of a table. It's clamped to the edge of a table, and it tilts and adjusts, so you can move the loom down over your lap. Anyway, it's fantastic. I agree, Laura. Really great. Really great product. Super well made. It has adjustable things in the little clamps, so you can put thicker. Like I've put a Mirex on those frame clamps. So you can put thicker, like 1/2-inch threaded rod versus the UK frames are much thinner. They're like 1/4-inch threaded rod. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to Change the Shed. I'll be back on September 17, I believe. Pretty sure that's in 2 weeks on a Wednesday, and we'll see. I am fairly certain I will be working on this unless I just have something super exciting that I want to show you otherwise. Those of you on Patreon, I will be doing some more work on a couple more mini tapestries and also the dyeing for this big tapestry. And if we're really lucky, I will get the warp set up for that. So thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to see you all again. We're going to have a great fall and just keep weaving. Thanks, everybody. Have a really great September, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.